Could you tell us something about the configuration of the C-54 and any particular markings that you remember being on it?
There was, well, the C-54 was a twin-engine cargo plane, which I had seen before, and it had, but the tail was a little bit different than what I was used to. And it had a marking on it. It looked like a world, the picture of a world, without all the different drawings, just plain. And then it had longitude and latitude white marks around it.
And what was the background color of this
It was a dark, well, it wasn't real dark brown, but a brown color,
All right.
but with white marks on it.
Did you see any other emblems or designations on the plane of any type?
No, which really it was a little bit, I guess I did notice, because normally most of the aircraft had USAF written on the tail. This one did not.
All right, now you referred to this as being a twin engine. The C-54 was a four-engine plane, was it not?
Yeah, it's a four-engine.
All right, so you're correcting that.
Yes.
All right. So you could see no other designations or labels on the plane, and you proceeded to board?
Yes.
All right. Was anyone on the plane when you boarded?
No, there was no one.
All right. Then go ahead and tell us what happened after that.
Well, then another general, I was sat down not too far from the door where you get on, the cargo doors, and there was another gentleman came up dressed in the same type coveralls, but he didn't have a hat on either. And they both got on, and it surprised me. They never said a word to me. They just went on up to the cockpit.
All right. Now, these men were dressed in coveralls?
Coveralls.
With no emblems or designations?
Of rank or anything.
All right. And was that unusual for the Air Force?
To me, it was.
All right. And nothing was said to you when they got on the plane?
No, and that was unusual, because normally the captain or whoever's flying the plane will say, "Hi, welcome aboard. We're going to Denver. Hope we got that nice weather." And they always had something to say to you.
All right. Were these two men carrying anything that you recollect when they boarded the plane?
No, they were. And most of the time, the pilots would have a small briefcase for the manifest and for the other aerial photos, you know, that they took with them.
All right.
And,
now, these men were Caucasians, were they?
yes, both of them were Caucasians.
All right. Go ahead and tell us then what happened after that.
Well, they went on up and closed the cockpit door behind them, and they revved up the engines. We taxied on out to the runway and took off. And we were headed toward Lowry Air Force Base,
All right.
or at least west.
What was the approximate time that you left Andrews Air Force Base?
It was between 8:30 and 9, around 8:30, I think.
That would be p.m.?
A.m.
A.m. All right. Go ahead.
We left there, and I assumed it was around 12:30, because he came over the loudspeaker and said that the president has been shot. It was shot at 12:29. He told the exact time and everything.
So this is what you heard over the...
Over the PA system in the aircraft.
All right.
Then he did a complete 180 and headed south.
A 180 means what for lay people?
Well, that would be a turn to the left, which we were headed west, be a turn to the left 180 degrees.
When you say your plane made a left turn of 180 degrees, actually, if the plane is flying west and makes an abrupt left turn, it would be 90-degree turn, would it not?
Yes, you'd be correct.
A 90-degree turn?
Yes, it would be, correct me on that, it would
All
be
right.
90 degrees.
All right. Describe the area where this plane landed, this C-54.
It was south of Dallas along the Trinity River. We were on the south side of the Trinity River when we landed, because there was trees and water back to the north of us.
All right, go ahead and tell us what happened after that.
And then there was two gentlemen got on the airplane. One of them was about 6'2", weighed about, I imagine 200 or around 190, 200 pounds. He was wearing white, well, it was a beige-like coveralls. And there was another gentleman, he was much shorter, and he had black hair, kind of skinny, and I guess he would weigh approximately maybe 150, 155 pounds.
All right, were these Caucasians?
One of them looked like he was Latin, maybe Cuban, and the other one was Caucasian.
All right. And were they both, these last two men you're describing, dressed in these beige coveralls?
Yes.
Any insignias or labels or anything on their coveralls?
Nothing other than a belt. The Jeep was a yellow type, looked like a road Jeep. They used on roads, you know, for repairing them, yellow. It was kind of yellowish color.
So this vehicle was sitting there on this, what to you looked like a road under construction.
Well, it looked like where we had landed was a road under construction.
Yeah.
And the Jeep was back up, maybe about 20 or 30 feet from the door when they got out.
All right.
And then they walked on up and got in. Jeep turned around and took off.
So there was another person who was driving the Jeep.
Driving the Jeep, right.
Who subsequently left.
Yes, he
All right.
left.
Did you recognize either of these individuals that got on the plane at this point?
No, I did not know either one of them.
All right. Did you later see some recognition of one of these persons that boarded the plane?
Yes, I didn't recognize the larger one, but I did, after seeing his picture on television an awful lot, a person that looked like him. And this person that got on the airplane looked an awful lot like Oswald.
All right. But this came later after you saw Oswald's picture on the media.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So then the plane turned around and took off?
Well, we turned around and took off and were headed west.
Did anybody ever say anything to you up to this point on this plane?
No, they did not speak to me. They went on up behind the cockpit and sat down, and no one spoke to me, not even the pilot, or it might have been a navigator, I don't know. But
now, where did the C-54 go?
we went to, I later found out, a place called Roswell Air Force Base in New Mexico.
All right.
And
And you
when we
didn't... I'm sorry, go ahead.
When we landed there, it was about dusk. All four of them came back to the back, opened the door, got out, and took off. Never said a word to me. And then I got off and went over to a building that had a light in it. That's why I say it was dusk. It had a light in it, and you could still see the outline of the building and all. But I went in there, and there was an MP in there. I first asked him, "Where am I at?" He says, "You're at Roswell Air Force Base in New Mexico." And I said, "Well, I guess this is as far as my ride's going. I'll have to go downtown and catch a bus home. How do you get there?" He said, "Oh, you can't go anywhere." I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Well, this base was placed under alert, full alert, and said nobody can leave or enter." And I said, "Well, we just landed." I waited until 9 o'clock before he let me go. Then he told me where to go catch the bus downtown and catch the Greyhound to Colorado Springs.
And no one else talked to you after the plane landed there at Roswell Air Force Base?
No, I didn't talk to anyone else.